turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher.
And welcome back. I'm Mike.
And I'm Phoenix.
And we are the Turntable Teachers. Class is officially back in session. We are back for episode 40 of the Turntable Teachers original series episodes. And back again with Phoenix, our co-host. And wherever you guys are listening, thank you so much for being here with us on this episode. If you're listening on YouTube or whether you're on a podcast streaming service, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button, especially on YouTube. It really helps us out if you guys are subscribed. Let us know what you think of these episodes. Let us know what you guys think of our commentary, and we'd love to hear from you and jump in on the conversation, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube. Subscribe to our website as well, www.turntableteachers.com. We got a lot of cool stuff there, and we got a big 2021 coming too. So we got a kind of not a rebranding, but we're going to be adding one other segment of the podcast, another mini series, and we're going to have basically 4 series going on a 2-week kind of rotation here. So I'm really looking forward to what we got coming in 2021. And like I said, back with Phoenix Rios, our brand new co-host.
Pumping out the content, baby. We're pumping out the content.
Yes,
we're out here.
And of course, if you missed the first episode with Phoenix, episode 39, make sure you guys go check that one out as well. But today we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna definitely gonna get to the Grammys today. It's probably I think that the meat of today's episode is gonna be Grammy predictions, reacting to the nominations for the 2021 Grammys. But to start, I wanted to talk about a topic in the music industry. I think that's getting a lot of chatter, and that is people buying streams essentially, and buying streams, but more so you could even consider like buying followers on Instagram and things like that.
I had messaged Mike when we were doing our pre-production kind of planning. I'm telling Mike about possible ideas, and there was someone that I follow on Instagram, a local artist who has a real dope video right now. His name is Pasto Chris, and he has a couple dope videos, and they're getting thousands of views, and it's pretty cool. But I saw him post on his story talking about people accusing him of having fake streams or having fake followers. And it's one thing to be accused of doing it when you do it, and then you get offended for people calling you out, and it's another thing to be accused of doing it when you're not doing it. So of course you're gonna, if you get accused of lying, you're gonna be upset. So he had a lot of passion behind a lot of these posts, and so that's what kind of like planted the seed in my mind, just about, obviously we've all heard about fake followers and fake streams, but to see someone get offended after being accused like that, or someone that looks totally organic. Like if you looked at his views, you wouldn't think this guy is like, he's not blowing up to the point where you think it's so astronomical. Like, where did he come from if I didn't hear about him yet? And he has all these views. He's not a plant by any means or nothing. And he's not someone who's buying followers. But I guess the real thesis of it is that I started to wonder to myself, is buying followers really something to be like, is that a negative thing? Because obviously there's a negative connotation for faking it and creating a perception about yourself and an image about yourself without having earned it. But if it ends up somehow catapulting you to the level you want to be and it gets you popping, you know what I mean? Like, is that something we're gonna hold you to? Or is that something we're gonna hold against you rather?
I will say this though, just as again a devil's advocate thing, it's more of a psychological standpoint. I feel like people are more apt to follow a page that already has a lot of followers, or click on a YouTube video, or click a song or follow an artist if they already have a lot of followers and streams.
Yeah.
So I think that is like the idea there. It's not to say like, oh, these are all legit. It just may be like, if someone comes across your page and doesn't know about buying streams and buying followers, they might think, oh, this person has a really big, massive following. what am I missing? You know what I mean? It's like this psychological thing where it's like, you're like, oh, everyone else is already on this. Like, why have I not heard of this artist, or why have I not heard this YouTube channel?
People like to go listen to things that are hot already. That's of course, that's the story of everything. But like, is it okay? Because I think we can all understand what's to gain, or like what I guess what the method is, you know what I mean? And we can all understand why it's actually advantageous on paper to do something like that. You know, and I guess it's more of like a moral thing, or like will it actually contribute to you being successful? Can it actually propel you to that place?
Well, that's the question I think we're dealing with here, is like, does it? And I guess to answer the question from my perspective, because I kind of want to hear about from your perspective too, because since you're being an artist, I'm kind of wondering a little bit about what you think. But in terms of what I think with this, I don't know if it really will help you a ton in the long run, because I think if someone like you said, like for example, even though Paso Chris isn't somebody that has bought followers or bought streams or whatever the case, like if you get caught doing something like that, I feel like that kind of ruins some of your reputation potentially. Like I don't know if it maybe affects like fans from actually like streaming your content and actually looking into your content or not. I'm not sure, because if you're putting out good product, good music, a good podcast, whatever you're doing, will that really shy people away from you? I don't know. Maybe it hurts maybe more of the brand than anything. But in terms of getting new followers and new people, I feel like it's helpful in that sense. But it doesn't really, like, for example, like you see some of these Instagram accounts that have 20,000 followers, and yet they're getting only like 12 likes on a post, or like barely 100 views on a post. You know what I mean? So like, I know the Instagram algorithm's a little weird. That's kind of a bad example, but I'm just talking like it almost makes you look.
That's super valid. Yeah. It's super valid. There's tons of people, and that's how you spot them right away when you're like, oh,
it looks inauthentic.
Legit. If you have 10,000 followers, but you get 50 likes and you get 3 comments, or 120 likes and 3 comments, but 10,000 followers, like.
Exactly. It gives it kind of an inauthentic feeling, and then like, I don't know, as a consumer, I personally don't like that, because I like the artists I follow that I like them morally to have values and want to grow organically and have a fan base that's actually legit. And like, that's why for us, I'm not putting us on a pedestal by any stretch, but like, that's why for us, like I've always done it the organic way, just because I feel like once you grow that small fan base is what really I think propels you in that sense. And then there's like, for example, like, I mean, even on YouTube, like to monetize your page, you need like you can get 1,000 subscribers, you can probably buy subscribers, I'm sure, but the catch with that, the caveat is you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time. So if only bots are following your page, and those bots aren't actually streaming the content, then you're not gonna it's not gonna help you. You know what I mean? So there's definitely, and then I think the same thing runs for Spotify too. It's like, I don't know, like, do those stream, like, what constitutes as a stream on Spotify? Is it just you click once and you listen to a second of it and that's it, or like, do you have to listen to 30 seconds for it to become a stream? Like, I wonder how that works in terms of that. But I'm curious for you, like, do you think buying followers as an artist, like, does that make sense, or is that not something that you think is even really beneficial for your brand?
I mean, I guess, like, speaking just personally, like, as someone who's already bought all my followers now, it's worked wonderfully. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah, I'll.
No, I'm never finna just buy followers. I don't think, because of like what you're saying, the inauthenticity of it, getting caught, being put on the spot. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I don't want to have to be in that situation, and then I will be embarrassed if I'm in that situation. But I will say, like, the reason why I debated it or thought it was even a good debatable topic to speak on is because I think that, like, especially after you just played your little devil's advocate role right there, got me thinking. And I'm like, at the same time, there can be people who make great music and just use that, because like you said, people like to hop on what's hot already. If you have that exposure, it's eye grabbing in the first place just to have 100,000 followers. That's eye grabbing, and that's what it's all for, that look, for that attention. But if they end up delivering on the product, like, why hold it against them? You know what I mean? If they end up actually having the good music at the end and the music feels authentic, but for the meantime, if you're somebody who's early on this person before, you know, their authentic fans outweigh the inauthentic bot fans that they have, yeah, it'll look a certain way to you. But what if the music's still good enough and you enjoy the music so much enough? Would you just ignore that part? And, you know, because at the end of the day, that's all the artist wants, right? Is to just get you enough attention for you to give them a chance and then genuinely start following them. Because I think we all know that that's where the biggest ROI is, right? Like, that's where there's nothing that gets you paid more than actually having human people want to invest in you and give you money.
Right.
So if it ends up working, what's the, you know what I mean? What's the big deal? Because then I think about other artists like Soulja Boy. You know, I was just hearing recently, and Soulja Boy's legendary for, you know, having cranked that Soulja Boy listed on LimeWire as Wiz Khalifa's Black and Yellow. You know what I mean? And now that's an internet kind of trick now that no one even blinks an eye at anymore. You know what I mean? But like at the time when the internet was kind of fresh, downloading music, pirating music was kind of fresh. You know what I mean? Obviously there are other people doing it besides Soulja Boy, but as a music artist, to be like, I don't care if you don't, you know what I mean? I don't, like, to kind of take it on the chin and be like, yeah, I know I'm gonna piss you off when I label it, you know, as a different guy, and it might be fucking it might be illegal, but at the end of the day, it worked, right? And now we all kind of pat his back and say, hey, you were getting it. You were being an entrepreneur. You're getting that click at all costs. And when it happened to be Soulja Boy, he made some good music. So then we ended up appreciating him for that. But then, of course, there's the flip side to it, where we know there are artists that are just so, you know, obnoxious, just stealing. They have no talent or much to bring to the table besides shock value and perception and image. And so that can obviously be the demise of their career as well. But if it works one way, you know, if there is an avenue for it to work, should it be a legitimate strategy for people to think about? I guess I wouldn't do it, because I don't know if I'm that much of a hustler to where I'm like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, I'll just scam and it'll work at some point. I think that stuff kind of comes around a little bit.
I think so.
But it worked for Soulja Boy.
True. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't rely on it, put it that way. Like, if I was a manager of somebody, like, I definitely wouldn't, you know, if I was managing an artist, like, I definitely wouldn't make it like even like one of the top tier, like, strategies that I would use to try to, you know, market them, right? And it was even funny, something you had mentioned that got me thinking about the Soulja Boy. You ever like go on YouTube and see like something, like a video comes up and it's like, oh, like Kanye West featuring Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, 50 Cent, like all these, like the crazy lineup of artists, and you're like, how did I miss this? And then you click it and it's not that at all. It's just some like random rapper. Like, so I feel people still do that shit. You know what I mean? So
and Soulja Boy pioneered that kind of disappointment in YouTube, in internet links. You know what I mean? He innovated that in a time when the market was so fresh and there was so much space available to where it really paid off, you know. But now everybody does it, and now you're kind of just the D-bag online.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my god, like, this is not even anything close to what I thought it was when I clicked into it. I see why people do it. I understand it, and I think it's because I think we as a society need to focus better on what is actually good content versus like what is just clickbait. You know what I mean? Because I think everyone's trying. I'm not saying that, like, everyone's trying to be clickbait, but the problem is like some people actually have good quality stuff that doesn't get clicks, so it's like, or get streams or whatever it is. So like, how do we, like, and again, in a very oversaturated field like right now that is the entertainment business, particularly the music business, like an industry I should say, like how do we navigate those issues? Like, how do we navigate the issues of, like, you know, how do I get people to stream my music? Like, that is the biggest, I think, feat right now.
What do you think? Like, do you think it's harder to get on now, or do you think it was harder to get on 90s, 2000s? Because that's been a, you know, I'm a Joe Budden pod fan, and I'll be upfront about that. But in just the music industry, I feel like, or just like in popular culture, people talk a lot about now it's so easy to become a rapper, right? And they'll just give anybody a mic and a check mark on Instagram, and they'll let anybody stand on a concert stage. But at the same time, it is the most saturated market, or at least for hip hop, that we've ever seen. Yeah. In just music, and in terms of attention kind of trading, you know, like yes. What do you think it's easier now to do it, or do you think it was easier back then to get on? You know, when I say get on, we kind of mean break a certain a certain threshold of like celebrity, or not. Maybe threshold's not the word I'm looking for, but
no, I think it works. It's interesting question, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you go either way with it. So I'll play, you know, easier back then, right? You had to be of some sort of caliber. You had to have some sort of access to create that music. And I feel like there was less technology, or less streamlined, mainstreamed technology that was readily available to people that wanted to be artists in the maybe we'll call it 90s and 2000s, right? I feel like you had to, in order to make quality music, you know, I feel like you had to get studio time, all that stuff. And I feel like once you did that, you know, you started to build connections and things of that nature. And I just feel like with, you know, there being so much less, just less competition, I think it might have, like, you would be standing out much quicker than you would today. Right. But on the flip side of that, I feel like now there's a lot better and easier ways to market yourself than there ever have been, especially in the digital age that we live in. Because, I mean, what was marketing back then? You're running probably TV ads or something like that, a commercial ad, or, you know, maybe you're running a bus ad, yeah, like some kind of billboard, right? Like flyers all over like town or something like that.
I like how we say it, like fucking flyers. Like, what are flyers anymore? No one looks at buses nowadays.
yeah. I mean, you probably don't even see the like flyers and things of that nature. Like for, you know, I mean, like an event.
Top tier artists definitely don't think about flyers. Like, you know what I mean? But top tier artists back in the day probably did. Like, you know.
Well, even an artist starting out now, I don't think is thinking about flyers. Even if you don't have, you know what I mean? Like, starting out, when you're thinking marketing, you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to get 500 flyers printed out and post them everywhere.
You know what? You know? I've thought about doing it. Like, I'm going to get 500 flowers or 500 stickers, but like, you do it literally just for like, I'm doing it for like the novelty. Like, it'll be quirky that I got a fucking flyer. Like, it almost shows a little bit of more work and thoughtfulness put into something when you go out your way to make a flyer nowadays. Where, like, you know, literally back in the day, it was just you made a flyer for any little thing that you were organizing, because that's the way you get the word around. That's the way you try and get people who you don't know to understand what you're doing.
My advice, I guess, for anybody listening to this is, I guess, it's kind of like a free game thing for any new up and coming artists. I actually like the idea of business cards, not just even to promote yourself. Like, let's say, for example, you were going to drop a project. I think business cards might make a little bit more sense, because you can actually fit them in like your wallet or your pocket. I think flyers, like, who's gonna actually take a flyer and like walk around with it, or like, you know, actually take the time to like fold it up and put it in their pocket or something like that these days. Like, nobody cares. Everything's digital. But I feel like if you want to go like a novelty, like, I actually have one right here, that's why I asked, but like a business card, for example, I feel like it can go right in your wallet, right in your pocket, right? And if you're passing,
look at Mike, you know what I think is a real smart idea? Someone doing something like I did, a business card. Real smart people make business cards.
What I did, and this is, I mean, I went to a couple people I knew that had small businesses, and I put business cards in the small businesses of my friends that I knew, and I was smart. Like, just
I've definitely thought of business cards.
Yeah, and I think that is something like I think you're less likely to like throw this out than you would a flyer. Yeah. I feel like you're at least gonna put this in your pocket, or maybe you'll put it in your wallet. Right. And if anyone ever sees this and you're like, oh yeah, like, oh, I bumped, or I saw this or whatever, like, you know, I think business cards are just easier to pass out in general because it's so much smaller. And I feel like if you were going to do an event or like maybe like you're gonna drop a project potentially, like you throw like a QR code for your project on a business card and like you just scan it. I feel like that would be sick. I don't know. I feel like that would be, if you're gonna do it the
and then
old-fashioned
you could say
way,
that same thing for a flyer though, right? Throw a QR code on a flyer, and then people can just take a picture of the flyer.
True.
Getting it in their phone already. Why not just do Instagram? Right.
Exactly. So there's a lot of different, I don't know. So I feel like, to answer again, to kind of go back around to answer your question, nowadays the market is so saturated, but it's never been easier to make music, because I mean, how many people make music out of their freaking bedrooms or their basement or like their homes? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know there are people that still do, get studio time, but it's just, I mean, there's so much like knowledge, free game on YouTube, like any tutorial you want. I mean, we're doing freaking like mixing and mastering tutorials like with Hex, like, I mean, like there's just so much out there to learn. I mean, there's different books out there now.
You needed a record label to get a massive distribution deal, and then even then, like if you're a smaller artist, your placement your placement in the categories of the record store is going to be important. You're not going to be right next to 50 or KRS-One, depending whatever area you're in, and you're not going to be right next to the big artist. But obviously in Spotify, Apple Music, it's different. But you're right on the same service that someone can go right from Drake to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, depending on their, even like if you get them to follow you, just hit the follow button on Spotify. You'll be on their playlists on the release radar, right next to big acts that other people follow. You know what I mean?
That is true.
So like the attention is definitely so much more up for grabs. So it creates, and it's very, very accessible. So it creates a lot of competition, like you're saying. And I think maybe just to loop this back one more time is, so would you blame someone who's trying to crawl and scratch? Because I definitely kind of judge people. I judge people for buying followers. I judge people for buying streams, not on like you're a bad person, you're corny, blah, blah. But that action was corny. That move, I think, is corny. But I don't hold it to them, because I know it's usually people out doing it out of passion, right? Some sort of desire to do something. But can you blame them for trying to crawl and scratch? Like, especially if it works for someone. Like, you know what I mean? Are we going to hold them accountable after? Because what if they really have great projects and they become a real legitimate platinum artist, but they had 5 years where they had 500,000 followers that were fake, and they were doing a lot of spammy, clickbaity stuff. I don't know if those things are mutually exclusive, but can you blame them when the market is so difficult to penetrate, right? Like,
right. And that's I think the question. It's like, and then I would actually be curious to know if anyone that's actually bought followers or bought streams, how did it work out for them in the longevity purposes, like
that'd
you're talking
be great.
About, right? Like, I'd be curious to know if, like
anybody
you said,
DM
let's
us.
Say, yeah, seriously, I'm just not like
we won't put you on blast. We won't put you on blast, but DM us, or if you don't care, put it in the comments.
Phoenix won't judge you for this one time, but
right.
But no, I'm totally curious. Like you said, is there an artist that potentially, got 500,000 fake streams for 3 years, and then it ended up actually working out because people like came to the platform or to listen to them because they got all these streams, and then they actually at the end of the day like ended up having 500,000 real streams. Like, has that happened? I don't know the answer to that question. I probably, if I'm guessing, like at least put it this way, like, guess my ending point here is like, if I'm guessing, I would say no, just because I don't think that, even though psychologically speaking, like I was saying, like we're more apt to saying like, oh, I would rather go listen to this song that has a million streams than the song that has 100 streams, even if the song that has 1 million streams stinks and the one that has 100 is freaking nasty, right? Like, there's no, it's just one of those things. I don't feel as though it's going to help you in the long run. Like, it might make your image look good or your brand look good, but I don't know if it's going to really like help benefit you in the long run. But hey, I could be so wrong about that. Like, I maybe it has worked for somebody, and I'm just like, if you've done it, has worked for you, and you, like I said, you want to DM us, like, I would love to hear it, because
I would love that. I would
curious.
love that. If anybody out there wants to DM us or let us know that just how your experience went, whether it went negative or positively, you can DM us. Keep it totally anonymous, and then we'll mention you in the next episode or something. You know what I mean? But I think the conclusion. Sorry, you can finish, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think this is a conversation we can easily come back to, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because like, this is kind of an ongoing conversation I think people are having, and I've talked to some artists that do like see it as almost like a disrespectful thing. Like if you buy followers or buy followers of streams, like they like automatically write you off as just like a, as an inauthentic, just almost criminal person. Like, oh, everyone out here is trying to organically grow, and you're out here buying streams. Like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. For me, again, I probably, if I was an artist, I mean, I'm a content creator, so I can speak for this. I would never do it personally. And I also, the other question I want to ask quickly too is like, how easy is it to know if someone bought streams or not? Especially on Spotify, how easy is it to recognize if somebody actually is buying streams or not?
Yeah, I think some of the easy ways are like, they only got a couple songs and there's thousands and thousands of streams, and that's usually, for the most part, that's a good sign. But if there's a couple songs, thousands of streams, and they haven't been added to like a playlist, like, because obviously playlists are huge. So usually if there's an artist who's gaining a lot of momentum, right, it's because they've been reaping the benefits of being on small or large playlists. But speaking on playlists too, getting on large playlists with, real superstar, megastar artists, those playlists are usually fake playlists. You know what I mean? The playlist for, depending on everybody's level, of course, but the playlist for people who are up and coming or underground, however you want to label yourself, indie, those you're going to usually go to an indie-centric or underground-centric playlist, you know what I mean? Right. And that's what's gonna get you real organic people who are looking for those kinds of artists, and then eventually you accumulate the streams to where you're gonna be on big playlists. So you look real out of place, and it definitely is a sign of a fake playlist if you're getting put with like dababy, Lil Baby, you know what I mean, Drake. And I feel like dababy and Lil Baby has been everyone's examples for hip hop rappers recently. And all the other podcasts I've listened to, but and I think the other one is like lots of high streams for every song, but like low monthly listeners. That's kind of the same thing as a parallel with like lots of followers but little engagement. It's like you got tons of streams and maybe it was through a fake playlist, maybe not. You just bought tons of streams straight for that song, but yet no one comes back to your page to really check you out. Like, why would they then love that song so much? Or like, even if people didn't like you, weren't buying you as a whole artist, you'd get people coming back to your page monthly, if your song was so good that I'd be getting an inflated amount of streams.
That makes sense.
So I think those are some of the small ways that I've at least can tell have been told, what to look out for.
Yeah, I guess that makes a ton of sense, and like I've never really looked at it from the artist or Spotify sense, because it wasn't one of those things where I was really recognizing that, because I'm not an artist. But I can tell on like Instagram, I feel like is it's much easier in that sense to tell.
Right.
But and then another question too is like, how successful is it really for you to buy streams? Because are there really a lot of big name artists out there like talking about like, oh, this is like a hidden gem or hidden strategy for you as like an artist, you have to buy streams in order to make it? Like, I feel like no one that's very like established has done it that way. I could be very wrong about that. Like, I love for anybody.
And who knows? Yeah. That's the secret.
That's
what we tell ourselves, and that's how they pitch it to you as an artist. Is they're like, the whole industry secret. What they're not telling you is that they use Spotify and Spotify now. Like, that's what all the services are called, and that's the only thing that's separating you from them. And of course, they're not going to say it, because then it would open the doors for everybody else. Right. And that's what you tell yourself. But we know the secret would get out. The dire or essential service as to how to get streams, if that was the standard in the key to success for all these people, the secret would come out, and then everybody would be swearing by it. And then once it started working for smaller people, it'd be the story for, all of your buddies would start telling you, dude, just pay $600 and you could become a hip hop artist. Like, right, then you could become a millionaire. And then everybody would be like, oh, well, shit. Like,
streaming, it's one of those things where, it is the industry nowadays, unfortunately. Like, this is where we're at. I mean, album sales are not really a big thing right now. I mean, with vinyl, I feel like vinyl has made a comeback, but in terms of it's more of like a memorabilia piece that I feel like for a lot of people than it is actually playing the vinyl. You know what I mean? Because
it's the
I think
novelty of the vinyl.
It's the novelty. Yeah, it's the accessibility of just the easily it is to stream, but yet. You know, I with the oversaturation piece, like we talked about earlier, of like, you know, my little monologue I had earlier about when you asked me the question of whether or not it's easier now to make it big in music versus then. I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to it, obviously, but I think with streaming and buying numbers, I guess I'll kind of leave my last thought with this topic is I just, for me, I'm an authentic person. I like the authenticity. I like the story of somebody, you know, doing everything the right way, humble beginnings, taking years to get to where they need to be, and then they, you know what I mean? I like that story versus just like, I bought all these streams and then I got streams from that. You know what I mean? So
right.
I don't know.
And like I think we said before, like those kinds of people end up usually not being the best artists because just having good artistry takes enormous commitment. And if you're someone who's also going to shortcut your way through the engagement, then you're probably someone who's trying to shortcut your way through the music. And you know what I mean? Those things just usually don't align with you doing the right thing and having good music. Exactly. But I'll tell you what, every freaking rapper who's out there broke, starving, like me, and you're out here, Mike's like, I love this. This is going to be a great album in 5 years. Don't you worry, buddy. Like, it's a lot easier said than done to go through the damn things. That's what I'm saying, man. I might sell out. I might swipe the card, put like $1,000 into the fake streams. Just say, screw it. So I can take a screenshot, pass it around, at least look kind of successful.
Literally. I mean, hey, yeah, like I said, whatever I guess works for you. I mean, again, like I don't know if it's worked for any big artists. I have no idea. I've never heard any big artists, you know, spewing that this has worked for them. And speaking of big established artists, I think this is a good segue into our Grammys section of this podcast. Obviously, the 2021 Grammy nominations just came out this past week that we're recording this. So definitely want to dive into the categories with you guys. Phoenix and I are going to basically break down each category, not every single category because we'd be here like all day, but we're definitely going to stop at the big hitters, the big categories. We'll read them off to you. We'll flash them on the screen for you as well. And we'll also we'll link it in the description as well for you guys if you want to follow along with the nominations list as we kind of dissect them, talk about them. We're going to talk about three things when we bring up each category. We're going to talk about who we think is going to win, who we want to win. So that could be the same or it could be different. And then of course who we think got snubbed in that category if we can think of somebody just kind of off the top of our heads from the category from this year. And yeah, so I will say this about the Grammys. I haven't always, and I think a lot of people feel this way. I'm not on a limb by any means saying this, and I think a lot of even people have said this in their. I mean, Drake has said it once before. When Drake won, he had said something along the lines of like, this isn't really that big of a deal. Like, I know it's. Well, Tyler, the Creator, last year basically like being like, why could I not be in like a pop category? Why did I have to be an urban contemporary, right? Or why is my album hip hop? And I feel like, that message of like what a genre is nowadays is a little bit, there's definitely some blurred lines when you're talking about genre. I feel like even when we had you on the podcast, I feel like it was one of those things where, I was kind of breaking down some of the different subtleties of your music, and you're like, "Hey, man, it's just hip hop." Like, you know what I mean? I know. I appreciate, the fact that you're hearing all these different small things, but like, it's hip hop, dude. So I feel like with the Grammys too, it's like, obviously, it's a bit of a corrupt thing. Like, they're not really pushing the best music there. You know what I mean? For the Grammys, like last year, I feel like very much so. A lot of years, I feel like they don't get it right. Especially with the hip hop categories. I feel like they're always super out of touch with the hip hop categories.
Yeah.
But I will say this with Billie Eilish last year, winning a lot of as many Grammys as she did. Like I felt like that at least made some sense. I feel like that was she had earned the right to win all the ones that she won. But most of the time, I really don't feel like they get it right, to be honest.
Yeah, have you ever like it's easy to find times where like they pick artists where it's like, oh, that makes sense because they're big selling mainstream artists. But have you ever had a time where you're like, wow, the Grammys really nailed it, like with this one? Like
No.
they're so in touch. Like, ooh, I've never heard of this one before, and then you go and listen to it, you're like, wow, this is album of the year for sure. Like there's never, I think, even been a pool of albums, records, songs where it's been like, oh wow, they're really including all the premier artists, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, even the winners say it. I mean, like I said, Drake, and then more recently Tyler, when he was basically like upset with the fact that even though he won Album of the Year for hip hop, that he didn't get a nomination for like Album of the Year or anything like that. And I feel like, and actually I believe it's been since Speakerboxxx Love Below is the last hip hop album to win Album of the Year, and I believe that was 2003 or 2004. So it's been a decade and a half.
Outkast fans love reminding us that.
I know. I'm right here, and the flesh with the Grammy winning Speakerboxxx Love Below on my wall. But it's that, and I think Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Those are like the two albums, the hip hop albums that won Album of the Year. Hip hop has not. So I don't know. I mean, this year when we get to some of the obviously like the rap category, I definitely I'm more happy with them this year than I was last year. That's for damn sure. But I still feel like, yeah, man, they're a little out of touch, man. The Academy, they really are. Oh, you're good. No, the Academy, dude, they're so out of touch. I feel like a lot of the times, I really do. I never feel like they make it.
And it's like, and it really gets them in trouble. It gets them in trouble whether or not like they're doing this maliciously, intentionally, which I think there's an argument for that to be the case. But even if it's not, I think they're the amount to which they're so tone deaf just ends up really biting them in the ass, and you know what I mean, just to be frank, like it just ends up putting them in more compromising situations, because then you become offensive and you become so out of touch that it's like it's a real weird, antiquated kind of thing, even though it still has this enough money to be a huge platform that we all pay attention to.
Yeah, and even though people like Drake have said, oh, it doesn't really matter, but look, here we are talking about it. Like everyone's been talking about it this week in the music world. Like it does. If we can't act like it doesn't matter and then talk about it for a month leading up to it, and then weeks afterwards when we react to the winners and things like that, if it didn't really matter.
And that's where I get so confused, and I think that's where I get so tired of the Grammys conversation, because I think every year we talk about how it doesn't matter, how it's out of touch, and I almost think that's part of their marketing too, right? It's getting back
in a weird way, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, getting back to some of the ways where I think they do this with a little bit of bad intention in their heart, and to send messages to certain audiences, and to stir up a little bit of hoopla. Like I think they include certain things, certain people, or continue to like act as if they aren't hearing our criticisms, and it's not interesting conversation anymore to me. You know what I mean? Because we've known it's already become, in the last 4 or 5 years, it's become more of a broad national conversation. And it's in the corruption within the Academy, whether or corruption or ignorance, I don't know how you want to describe it, but just not getting it right. And for all these biases and reasons, you know what I mean, that we can talk all on and on and on, that are also that millions of other Americans are afflicted by too, and that's what makes these people in the Academy no better than, you know what I mean, people who are just taking a random survey or poll.
True.
Depending on what area you go to. So, but like, I'm tired of the convo. Like, that's where sometimes I just feel like it gets recycled. It's like, all right, they got it wrong again. We're going to get mad again. And then there's going to be the second wave of people who are saying, why did you guys care in the first place? They'll never get it right. Yep. And then there's the other wave of people who are like, all right, well, how are we going to change it? Are we going to make the new thing? And then there's the other wave of people who then are, so woke that they're like, I don't even care about academies at all. Why do we care about, and it's a valid argument, why do we care about being approved or validated by any academy or organizing body? And for a lot of people, it's like, why? A lot of people kind of sum it up as like, why do we feel like we need a seat at the table? You know what I mean?
And especially in hip hop, I feel like they're a little tone deaf. Like, I agree with you. Like, and I think for years it's come back to the Good Kid, Mad City, Macklemore.
Yeah, I mean, a little tone deaf, bro. Come on, man. That's an understatement. You know, like, look, come on, Mike. I'm keeping it 100. All right, if I'm gonna be on the platform, I gotta keep it 100. And they're not a little off, man. They're really off. They're usually very off. I think one of the times I was most impressed is when they nominated Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap, but it didn't win.
It didn't win, and I was actually happy, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because I'm glad that they did that. They did that actually before he died. So he hadn't died yet, and I think, or he died like 2 months later. But they actually nominated him when he was alive, which I said,
and it was taking. That's why people were saying he was also, he was on a very. It looked like his trajectory is just rising, because he still wasn't the biggest, most. Absolutely. He wasn't a household name. I think Nipsey Hussle's probably still not even a household name unless, you're in a black or brown household. You feel me?
Yeah, I think if you're in tune with hip hop, he's a household name for sure. I think he's definitely not Drake. He's not even he's not Kendrick Lamar. He's not J. Cole, right? Like the normal music lover might not know who Nipsey Hussle is, right? But like you would some of those other guys that I mentioned. But no, anyway, like again, here we are. We're criticizing the Grammys. Why does anyone even talk about the Grammys? And yet here we are. We're about to talk about the Grammys.
Yeah, man, because I got this podcast I got to do with this guy who insists on talking about the damn Grammys.
I insisted that we had to talk about the Grammys. No, I just think it's interesting conversation. I like to critique them. I also like to bring in like what I think that where they got it wrong potentially and what they did.
Definitely.
This year, just as a little of a spoiler, I think the hip hop categories I find very interesting this year. I have very good criticisms for some of the other categories. I guess we'll start at the very top. We'll start at Record of the Year. I think that's a good place to start. So the nominations for Record of the Year this year, and that is it's awarded. It's an all-encompassing thing. So it goes to the artist, the producer, the engineer, the mixer, whoever basically worked, the writers potentially, if anyone, whoever worked on the song. That they're considering that the record. So we got Black Parade by Beyonce, Colors by the Black Pumas, Rockstar by dababy featuring Roddy Ricch, Say So by Doja Cat, Everything I Wanted, Billie Eilish, Don't Start Now, Dua Lipa, Circles by Post Malone, and Savage, Megan Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce. So Beyonce's got a twofer. She could win this two ways, I guess.
Right.
And I will start off by saying this, that I'm glad that they're finally starting to incorporate some hip hop into the Record of the Year, the Album of the Year, because again, that was Tyler, the Creator. Last year he went off. I think even last year we talked about this in depth about Tyler, really his issue with the fact that he wasn't a hip-hop album per se. He could have easily been in the pop category. He could have easily been in just, why was I not even for Album of the Year?
Yeah, so you could have made an argument to put him anywhere, even though I think I like putting him in hip-hop, but the album was definitely very versatile.
Exactly. So, but anyway, I'm at least glad that they put some hip-hop in here, but I also, on the other hand, I feel like they put the wrong stuff in here. Like, I can't believe that we're in a category right now for Record of the Year with Doja Cat, Megan Thee Stallion, and dababy. Like, I just why? I think none of those deserve it, in my opinion, for Record of the Year.
I can hear Savage. Savage makes sense to me. Savage makes sense. In
all right,
not
I'll give you that
saying
one.
That all Savage type records should be nominated for Record of the Year, but again, I don't know if like it's like, am I making sense of what I think the Grammys would usually pick or should usually pick, because that has a certain criteria too?
Yeah.
Or am I making sense of what the biggest Record of the Year or the best Record of the Year? It's like, what does that mean? And usually I feel like we go for, with the Grammys, with that being such a nationally recognized or internationally recognized thing, it's like the records who can get the most streams,
true,
or plays, those are usually also contenders, and I think the biggest criteria they go for what they choose for these kinds of things. I think we all wish that they could also have a commitment to just finding the best music and factoring in as part of criteria maybe for how you grade it or what you select, like popularity and reach.
Yes.
So
I agree with
Savage,
that.
Meg and Beyonce, I'm not mad at Savage, although obviously nothing that was on that record was like, super special in the sense that it was a kind of art we've never seen before or anything.
True.
But I understand it being nominated for a Grammy for this year. It's kind of dominated this year. It's almost been like Meg's year, starting from like this summer from last summer.
Yeah, I would agree with
like last summer coming to this summer, and now it's kind of really getting I also Meg Stallion's interesting to me because I think she might be in trouble with the music. I'm not gonna lie.
How so?
I think maybe the quality of the music is taking a dip, and
that's where I'm at with it. It's like why are we putting, just because it got good popularity and good numbers, like why are we putting that on a pedestal?
Yeah.
Like if you are a music entity or an academy that literally critiques the best music of the year, how are you not listening to everything?
Yeah.
How are you just listening to the chart topping stuff? Because that defeats the whole purpose of what it actually entails.
Right.
So if we're just going off popularity, then call it that. Call it, this is the popularity awards.
Right.
Like, this is
Or
not
most popular song of the year.
Sure. Why are we calling it record of the year? For me, it doesn't make sense. Honest,
Record of the year has an implication of like most like best craft. I'm not gonna lie, I can see Meg getting it with Savage, it being a big song just off the popularity. Maybe if that's gonna be the one song that you give off the basis of popularity. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know this Black Parade song.
That's
really
actually
know
the
it.
one I don't know either. I can't.
And we should be ashamed of ourselves, right? Because this is Beyonce the queen, and when Beyonce gets nominated for something, I don't argue. I don't argue.
I won't argue
and I
that
don't
either.
have a problem with it.
I won't argue that
That Rockstar track with the baby though, that is not it. That's not it for me.
How
bro.
is that? Makes
That's
no sense
not
to me.
it. For
That's
me.
the
That's not
one.
even one of the baby's best tracks.
No,
in his
not even off that
discography.
album. It's not even one of the best tracks, and I didn't even care for that album all that much. But this
Me
isn't
either.
even,
That track, that was just something that was being pushed hard by labels and Spotify, and we all heard it all the time. But that was not notable. That will not be a very notable song of
2,
this
4,
year looking
5 years
back.
from now. No,
Yeah.
no way.
Savage, I think with Meg, her just being a female figure and the huge run and kind of female renaissance that's happening now, and she's kind of the poster child for that at this point, for better or for worse. And in the controversy she's going with Tory, I also want to be mindful of that. I do think she's a victim in this case, and I don't want to speak too crazy about her. But in terms of just the artist level, just music only, right? I'm just saying that, clarifying that. Music only.
Music only.
It makes sense. She's kind of the biggest female artist right now, so I think that song will stand alone as just a moment in hip hop that was big. And then especially when Beyonce came down and almost knighted her, just like almost accepted her into the Illuminati right there with that verse. and then she's been bigger.
True.
She's been super big since then.
So I guess, all right, so I'll agree with you there. I think that the one that maybe makes the most sense is probably that song. I would not be surprised if that one won, especially if you're going to give it to Megan and Beyonce. You're kind of going to kill two birds with one stone in that sense.
Right.
I think it makes sense. And
I
plus,
don't
like
know
you
the
said,
Post
this was a
Malone
big-
song either. I don't know.
Circles, that was, and I would say that's probably the only one that from this list that I really enjoy. Like, I actually will go back and listen to that song as like an enjoyable thing. But even for me, that wasn't my favorite Post Malone song. I mean, that would, for me, like if I'm choosing who I would want to win just based off it's really more of process of elimination, really. Like, it's more of a default that I would be picking Circles by Post Malone to win the Grammy for Record of the Year.
Right.
I don't, on no other circumstance do I think this was the Record of the Year. But given the category of songs that are here,
He's making that clear. In no other circumstance, would he ever even think of putting this in his Song of the Year.
No, it's not going to go on my list. I'll tell people that much. The year-end list that I'm going to do, it will not go there. I would just let people know that right now. But it will not be there. And none of these songs will be there, mind you.
Dude, Mike is ready to run the Academy. He said none of these songs will be there.
None of them will be there. Not a single one. And I'm a big Billie Eilish fan. I like Billie Eilish, and that song's pretty dope. I like Everything I Wanted was good. It was just not anything that was up to snuff with where when we all fall asleep, where do we go? I mean, that shit.
Yeah.
I am totally okay with the Academy. I mean, I even wrote one of my first blog posts on our website. It was me writing about Billie Eilish's like rise to fame and like, you know, her winning all these Grammys. Like I was totally down for Billie Eilish winning last year. So I'm totally, that was her, last year was her year. Totally okay with all that. Not mad at the Academy whatsoever for giving her all those Grammys last year. Totally fine.
Right,
but
and that's
for me personally,
your opinion. That's
my
your
opinion. My opinion. Not mad at it at all.
For me,
Some
I
people,
saw it. I was like, she's massive right now. I've heard nothing but
Yeah.
Billie Eilish. I do think she makes good music. You know what I mean? But obviously, she gets a huge advantage making popular music for the majority of the people who also make the Academy, right?
Exactly.
Like the demographic of white Americans. Like,
yeah. And the Academy seems to really like Dua Lipa too, because I know she won Best New Artist a few years ago, and it just seems to me like they really enjoy her for some weird reason. I've never got into her personally.
Like
She's okay. She can sing for sure. Obviously, no bashing her whatsoever. She's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Sorry, before we move on too much too, we're talking about the streams, buying streams. Whether or not people should do it, we advise people not to do it. It seems like people who make it to these kind of platforms like the Grammys don't do it on their way up. But something with the Grammys, we can also tell, like, it really reflects, like we're talking about most popular songs, and that is usually connected to biggest label conglomerate pushing this. And you can, there's a criteria of certain amount of streams. There's a criteria of, you know, Chance the Rapper, he kind of busted that. He was the first person to get a Grammy without selling music, but selling the music was a big criteria, which goes to show that labels with the right push and the good amount of money and the right connections obviously have a lot better chance of getting their act nominated for a Grammy. And then that comes down to how your label views you, how important they're willing to advocate for you, whether or not your label's popular enough. So then that means that it's probably compensating for a lot of these artists who aren't that great, but their label knows how much the business will take off once you're awarded the Grammy. So it's almost like lobbying in politics that these labels and people in the music industry do.
It's definitely political. I agree. I mean, I guess to tie a bow on the record of the year one, I'm with you. I guess if I was a betting man, which I'm definitely not, but if I was a betting man, probably would bet on Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce, Savage to win this category this year. But if it was my choice, probably Post Malone's Circles. That's probably what I'm going with. And
snub.
Snubs?
Who got snubbed?
The Weeknd, by the way, got snubbed on this entire list. And I know people have already talked about that. We're going to be late to the party talking about this. I know people are already outraged about it. He's talked about it. Like, how is Blinding Lights not here? Just tell me how Blinding Lights is not.
Which is so, and that's when it's so funny. It's like this dude who clearly had one of those hot. Like, that was hot too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's unbelievable. Two, like, his album this year, in my opinion, was transcendent. I thought it was so freaking good. And for him to not even get even a nomination in any pop or R&B categories, come on.
It's very disrespectful. Super disrespectful.
So disrespectful. Elton John came out, was like, just so everyone's aware, Blinding Lights is the record of the year. And I was like, good, Elton. I agree. I'm with you. Totally I'm with Elton on that one. Thank you, Mr. Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you so much. Speaking of album of the year, which I don't know how The Weeknd's album is not on this list, but anyway, we got Chilumbo by Jhené Aiko, Black Pumas by Black Pumas, Everyday Life, Coldplay, Digesi Volume 3. The D might be silent. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that. My apologies. Jacob Collier, Women in Music Part 3 by Haim, Future Nostalgia, Dua Lipa, Hollywood's Bleeding, Post Malone, Folklore, Taylor Swift.
Could you remind us what the category was for this one?
This is Album of the Year.
Album of the
Year.
Wow.
Album of the Year is what we got
that
here.
Chilumbo one, I I like Janae Aiko, and I looked forward to that, but that was a disappointing project to me.
I didn't like it either. I was not a fan.
It was not her best work. It was very safe kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Especially when she had so many crazy singles leading up to it. I felt like that album kind of landed a little flat.
She's done so much more ambitious stuff than that. Put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. And including on the singles themselves, like just features she's giving to other artists too. She was going crazy. And then I remember going up to that album and being at the end of it like, this is it?
Yeah.
So that's...
I mean, dude,
wow.
like, After Hours by The Weeknd, like, I don't mean to spoil, like, my list, but, like, yo, like, After Hours of The Weeknd, that's on my list, no question about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that is there, and it's probably towards the top, spoiler alert, but in my, like, going through these, like, I like Hollywood's Bleeding. That's a pretty good album. Is it, like, album of the year material? I doubt it. I actually probably preferred his first project better, Beer Bongs and Bentleys, or the one he, not his first project, but the one he released prior to this. And I mean, I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I will say, like, Folklore, when I did listen to it, because I am always curious when she drops a project, just for if I want to shit on it, or actually sometimes I used to like her back in the day. I'm not gonna lie, but this album, the Folklore project that she did, I thought it was pretty good. I'm not even gonna front, dude. I mean, she had Jack Antonoff obviously did a ton of work on it, and he's a really big artist. He's helped a lot of people out. He's done like work, I think, with like Lana Del Rey is one, and Kevin Abstract. He really helped out his solo project. And I know she had like Bonnie Vare. They helped out a ton on this, like Justin Vernon. So I was really pleasantly surprised by the Taylor Swift album. But although I should say, I mean, it was a freaking breakup album. It's just everything she's always done. So it's like sonically, I thought she took a bit of a risk with this one, but topically, it wasn't really much of a risk for her.
Just so you know, I'm not super distracted. I'm looking at albums of 2020 because I don't have these all at the top of my head.
Right.
But I definitely know I wasn't listening to these other things, so I'm like reminding myself, like, what was I listening to from this year? The Mac Miller's Circles was released in 2020.
That's another one that I'm a little bit.
What's the season of this? It's actually, it goes by a certain season, right? It's not necessarily a year by year.
So
thing.
I believe I want to look it up quick actually because I'm curious what the Grammys cutoff.
Right.
Like what, like, I think
because
it's
I know a lot of people were upset that Summer Walker Over It wasn't had any R&B nominations, but that was October 2019.
So okay, so I have it here. So it's between October 1st of 2019 and that goes until August 31st of 2020. So it's anything prior, basically September 1st onwards from this year. So September 1st, 2020 onwards will actually be for next year.
Gotcha.
For 2022.
So it's like October to October almost.
Pretty much. October to September, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, October to September or October to November.
So that's where it's at. Again, by default, my favorite project here is probably Hollywood's Bleeding. But under no other circumstance would I put Hollywood's Bleeding as the album of the year. And then the Coldplay album. I mean, come on. Are we really still putting Coldplay up for albums of the year?
That blows my mind. I'm like, I didn't know they were even making things that were making noise.
There's a lot of snubs here. I think.
Yeah, I'm like trying to think about that right now. The
Weeknd is a clear snub.
Right off the top of my head, though, I loved the Benny the Butcher project. I know some people felt like it wasn't as...
There's an album that will never get... Benny the Butcher will never be up for album of the year.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Never.
And that's where it's like, it's just upsetting. But I love that project. And I'm coming from a hip-hop head.
Why not Juice WRLD? Even that I probably would have been better off with. I thought Juice WRLD's album was pretty freaking good. I actually would have preferred it almost over every single one of these, probably even over Hollywood's Bleeding. And then I know he's just kind of up and coming, but throw him a bone like he did Billie Eilish. Dominic Fike, bro. Dominic Fike.
Dominic Fike had a good album.
Yes, he really did, man. He really did. And like,
yeah,
that was one where what it was called What Could Possibly Go Wrong. Well, the Grammys, that's what possibly could go wrong, Dominic, to answer your question on at least with context of this. But no, in all seriousness, like, there's a lot, like The Weeknd, totally. I think that Dominic Fike, he was big enough this year, I felt like he could have at least got a nomination Nope.
Right.
And then, what was the other one I said too? I can't remember now. What did I just say? Dominic. And then, Juice WRLD. I think why not Juice WRLD? Right. And then, and then this total snub, Run the Jewels, man. Run the Jewels 4. I mean,
Yeah.
this is if this was the year to give Run the Jewels the Grammy for anything, Run the Jewels didn't get a freaking
and they've
nomination.
kind of missed out because they could have, I think, easily gotten it. Were they nominated? I think they may have been nominated. They've never been nominated?
Never. I don't know the answer to that question if they've never been nominated. I know that this year they didn't get nominated.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like they might have been nominated, but they didn't get it. But
I'm gonna look that up now because
Run the Jewels 3, Run the Jewels 2, at least 2. Like those were really good projects, man. And all 4 of them. Let's be honest. But I can understand Run the Jewels 1 not getting it because the Grammys is late to that and they were kind of just bubbling up. But Run the Jewels actually has a massive audience, dude.
Yes.
Like they're very much like, they're not cult classic in the sense that only 45 people know them. Like they have a cult following that is very large.
It doesn't look like they've ever received a Grammy nomination.
Damn. That's wild.
At least from what I can gather, I can't find a single thing. They still, snub. Man,
you know what? Detroit 2, Big Sean.
At least for rap. I know we're not at the rap category. Maybe we should just move on because, I mean, all right. At this
I guess
point,
we're talking about rap. Maybe it's not an album
albums.
of the year.
But
right?
even still, I mean, why can't Run the Jewels 4 be an album of the year for what it was talking about, right? Like, I feel like why not? I mean, definitely some of the ones that we had discussed, I feel like would have been much better. But song of the year, okay, we got Black Parade once again by Beyonce, The Box by Roddy Ricch, Cardigan, Taylor Swift, Circles, Post Malone, Dua Lipa, Don't Start Now, Everything I Wanted, Billie Eilish, I Can't Breathe by Her, If the World Was Ending by JP Saxe featuring Julia Michaels. I don't know this If the World Was Ending song, actually.
Yeah.
And
also we don't know that album of the Women in Music Part 2. Did you know that one?
I did. No,
I don't even want to speak on that because that could be freaking album of the year, and I don't want to be ignorant. Yeah. That's not what I'm listening to, and maybe that was really impactful, obviously, with
and Black
title like that, Women in Music.
And Black Pumas. I don't know the Black Pumas either. So I don't want to be ignorant to that either. So very well, Black Pumas could be and Haim. Those two artists could easily, or bands, whatever, they easily could be albums of the year. So again, not to get no disrespect to them whatsoever.
But how often, what reputation do the Grammys really have for picking a sleeper that was actually well deserved? Like, you know what I mean? It's
very
usually
slim.
just something that's almost like an indie token, like, to tell these other genres, like, see you, there's a chance. Yeah, our eyes are open.
We're still gonna give it to Taylor Swift, but hey,
but we included you.
We
were in the running.
Exactly.
You had a good fight.
No, man. I actually now it does make me curious. I do want to actually go listen to those albums just because I'm very curious as to, just curious as to how they sound and are they album of the year worthy? It's possible. I mean, but like you said, the reputation of the Grammys does not really precede it to be one. In terms of song of the year, again, it's a weak group, man. Weak group. I mean, I guess if I'm gonna pick one to win, or for me, I guess Her makes sense. I liked that song quite a bit. I thought the message was great. I think it's totally 2020, obviously, and I think the Academy seems to really like her too. She's no pun intended, but I know she's done a lot of
she's done pretty well, which is good because she's a great artist. She's someone who deserves
and
it.
she does a lot of performances. Yeah, it was a great track, and she does a lot of performances at the Grammys. Like the last few years, she's performed.
Yeah, and every performance she does is mind blowing. She's amazing and so young.
Oh, absolutely. She's got a bright future. But in terms of who I think is going to win, I don't even know. I guess who I think is going to win, Beyonce. I guess if I was to put my money on it, Beyonce. I don't see Roddy Ricch winning this. Personally, I don't even think he deserves it. Even though, I mean, if he was up for rap song of the year, maybe. But with The Box, like I could totally see that because it was a smash. It was
Oh, you know what? Black Parade. I have heard Black Parade. That I didn't realize that has Jay on it. I
think
did
so.
listen to that.
Yes, it does. Sean Carter.
Right.
Yep, he's on it. Yep.
Yeah. I did listen to that because if Jay's gonna touch the mic, I'm gonna listen to Jay-Z.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
But
totally.
it was nothing that made me think like, was that the one with the entrepreneur video?
Yes, it is.
Okay, gotcha. I know exactly what song, and that's how forgettable it was.
This whole list is forgettable, dude. They're all forgettable songs. That's the whole point of this. That's why I'm so frustrated, because I put it this way. I hope her wins. I really hope that she finally gets one, because they've shown her a lot of love the last few years, and I hope that to God that's what they give her the win. But in terms of like this list being what I would consider the songs of the year, nah. I
think her. I'm gonna give you mine. I want her to win, and I also didn't do this for album of the year. I just realized, or record of the year, but whatever. I want her to win. I think Billie Eilish will win.
Okay, go ahead. Give us the other ones too, because I thought you had said for record of the year, you had said you thought that Savage was gonna win. Right?
Yeah, I think Savage is gonna win. I guess, yeah, I think Savage is going to win. I kind of want Savage to win, I guess, out of the other options, because none of the other ones were super... it would be stupid. I'd be upset if anything, if Rockstar beat fucking... Sorry,
I would be pissed about that,
Savage.
too. I would be pissed about that, too.
That'd be upsetting, because I think it's a more redeemable song than Rockstar.
For sure.
But to even snub record of the year, like, I don't know what I would choose. There are a million of records that are out there that were... all encompassing, just great records out there.
Yeah.
But for song of the year, honestly, I'll say Roddy Ricch's other track, High Fashion. Like,
yeah,
I like that more than The Box. Like, and
yeah, it's better, but The Box got the numbers. That's why The Box is good.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple.
Like,
it's simple
that
math,
one
apparently.
it's super replayable, dude. I honestly have really come to love Roddy Ricch.
He's good.
He's not just that space of music isn't where I go to first. You know, I'm a lyrical miracle song.
Yep.
Loving you is complicated. Loving you is, you know what I mean? So that's my vibe.
Loving you.
And but the pop stuff, the club stuff, the street stuff, that's all valid, and it all has its time, and it's all really good, and when you do it well, it gets recognized. And I love his delivery and his cadence, and High Fashion even like got really popular and overplayed, but then I felt like when it died down, it was such a good song that the replayability is still there. Like the beat is still pretty soulful, and his delivery is still very modern and cool, you feel me? And where The Box is so just kind of gimmicky, and it's just it almost, you can't hear the beat without seeing an Instagram video in your head, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of really changed it into a gimmicky, more pop thing that I'm not coming back to, you know?
Yeah, well, that's where the music is now. I feel like, you know, with a lot of that type of music, it's just where we're at. I mean, so they're trying, of course, I think, to stay relevant and keep the songs that they think and the artists that are relevant to today, but they still aren't quite in tune with a lot of. But then again, it's interesting, because then you look at Best New Artist and some of those categories, which is the next big category I want to talk about, because they actually put some artists in here that I thought, you know, I think there's other artists that you could have put in here, but for the most part, they got some of these. So the Best New Artist nominees are Ingrid Andress, Phoebe Bridgers, Chica, Noah Cyrus, D Smoke, Doja Cat, Kaytranada, and Megan Thee Stallion. I hope D Smoke wins. That's my guy, and I am really excited that I love D Smoke, love him, and I'm really excited that they put Chica in here, because she's good.
I'm very excited they put Chica in. Very happy.
She's
they put
great.
Chica in.
She's awesome.
She's really good. I'm like honestly pretty surprised they put her.
Me too. I was stunned.
Yeah, again, and that's where it comes down to, where it's like she must have a label, have a camp. Like I'm pretty sure she signed to a major label now who knows how to push her and who sees that she does have an audience. That it was, I think I love Chica because I saw her on Twitter videos first, like on her Twitter, like with 50,000 followers, putting up like freestyles that were very real, just her rapping in her room.
Yeah, she's awesome. I like her a lot.
So I'm really excited. I'm really happy that Chica got in and got acknowledged because I'm just used to her watching. I'm used to watching her Twitter videos and her freestyles. She's a raw spitter, and I'm really happy about that. But I think she's not an artist that I feel like is even gotten the big debut that she deserves just yet. And I've heard some of the newer tracks she was putting out, and honestly, they weren't as entertaining to me or as compelling to me as some of her older stuff was, or even some of the Twitter videos were, so I'm surprised that she was in there. Like you saying, I was also stunned. But then you start doing the math. She must be on a good label. I don't know what label she's on exactly, but they gotta be, advocating for her well.
I think it's a pleasant surprise, if anything. I mean, and as a compliment to Chica. But I agree with you though too. I don't
mean to downplay. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it. Super happy she's there. I think I probably want her to win the most.
I'd be okay if she won.
And totally think maybe that would be something that would be jumping the gun. That would still be happy about.
Right. Right. No, I agree. I don't know if she's there yet, but I'm glad that they at least included her. Right. The other one that I would actually be cool if they won is Kate Trinata. I think totally would be very much deserving.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't even realize you said that at first, that Kate Trinata's in there. That would be really nice to see Kate Trinata get that.
Yeah, and even it's funny that Megan Thee Stallion would be considered a new artist now at this point, because I feel like she's been in the game for like a while. But
it's been a year and a half that she's been kind of running it, and it hasn't been the longest career. But it's kind of like Cardi, right? Like Cardi ascended really quickly, so like you couldn't have her competing with, some of the lower tier new artists. And I think she did win maybe a new artist or something, but it was like she got it in the bag. Yeah. But with Meg, she's been having. Listen, man, Meg has a new debut album every couple months. And it's kind of gets pushed that way, where it's like, this is my new first album. The last one was her new first album,
and this one is too. In terms of who I want to win, I got D. And you gave me a little bit of a look when I said this. I'm actually curious for your thoughts on this. I definitely want D Smoke. Yeah. That's my guy. That's the guy I want.
D Smoke, I think, also got blessed along with Chica. Chica's someone I want to see have it. D Smoke, I loved him on Rhythm and Flow. I don't think his album was all that great. I loved him on Rhythm and Flow. I don't think his singles and his little speaking Spanish, I don't think, like, it's cool. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I do hear them, it's cool. And when I went through his project, cool. But D Smoke, when it wasn't an artist or new artist of the year kind of thing for me, even though I guess, again, if we're going by numbers, it makes sense because his name was all over the place. He definitely had a huge year, as opposed to someone like Chica that I didn't think was. I saw her, ascending to a bigger level and getting signed and getting more of an audience, but she wasn't all over the place like D Smoke was.
Yeah, he was everywhere, and rightfully so.
Everywhere.
For me, I completely disagree with you. I thought Black Habits was fantastic. I think it's very worthy. It could be on my list too, quote unquote. But in terms of best new artists that definitely got snubbed, can we give some love to Dominic Fike, please? Like, how do I don't know why he doesn't get this kind of love. Maybe his year is coming next year. I don't know. But I was a huge fan of his album this year. I thought he got a huge snub for new best new artist in this category at the very least. I would love them to even
Summer Walker. Summer Walker. Going back over to like her not being included in R&B album of the year, which is mind blowing. But Summer Walker had a huge year. She's a pretty established R&B artist now. And Over It, I think, was one of the best R&B albums I've heard. We've heard, the culture's heard in years. You know what I mean? That was like a great project. And I think after the project, she kind of went to go along and show us, some of her other, things about her personality that maybe not everybody's on the same page with or really likes. Because she's just a kid, though. She's a young woman. on social media. So like I don't blame her that much when she also has an amazing talent where like when she wants to make a succinct, clean album, like, and beautiful, like angelic, you know, but also whispery, very 2020 R&B, you know, smoky kind of R&B. Like she made the epitome of the perfect way to do that. And the fact that it didn't get nominated, or she's not even up there for New Artist of the Year, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, that definitely is a snub, I think, too, for sure. No doubt. I know I don't want to talk about pop too much, but I did want to just mention quickly the
we hate pop.
We hate pop around here, but I want to no, yeah, we definitely don't hate pop. But I want to quickly say the nominations for Best Pop Solo Performance, because I think some of them are laughable. Yummy by Justin Bieber, Say So, Doja Cat, Everything I Wanted, Billie Eilish, Don't Start Now, Dua Lipa, Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles, and then Cardigan, Taylor Swift. We're basically filtering in a lot of the stuff that we heard from like Record of the Year, Song of the Year, blah, 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 blah. Right. Once again, even if you want to call The Weeknd pop, right? Because I don't even know. Some people might say he's not R&B, he's
Here
pop.
Here he goes again. Here's The Weeknd.
Dude, The Weeknd should be cleaning house this year for Grammys, and for some reason, he's not even nominated. The fact that Yummy, and this is no disrespect to Justin Bieber, because I will say
it was garbage. No, this is disrespect to Justin Bieber.
I actually like
Phoenix.
Justin Bieber.
This is disrespect.
Okay. Purpose, I thought, was a good album for the first half, I should say, at least. And then some of the stuff he's putting out now, I'm okay with.
I heard people like it.
It's good. Yeah. No, I'll live with it. Like, I didn't used to like him way
There's
back.
that Lonely track I liked. Is it called Lonely?
Yes, that one's good. That one's really good.
That one is cool. I'm a huge Chance fan, and I liked the Chance and Justin project, a song they had before their newest one, like Confident.
That one's good.
It was called
Holy is the new one, right?
Yeah, Holy is the new one. I was not a fan.
It's okay.
It's
okay. It's not something I go back and listen to a ton, but I don't think it's a bad song. But Yummy? How are we making Yummy nominated? I'm sorry. In a performance. What? What did he perform on it? The hook is awful on that song.
I don't know. Dude.
I don't even want to pick a winner for that one, just because I don't feel like anything deserves it. I just wanted to point out.
I can see Say So. I liked Say So, and I remember she had like very elaborate costumes while performing this, and she had like a cool mermaid looking thing. I like Doja Cat's music. I guess I'm also not so upset that she was nominated for something else before this. Maybe it was Record of the Year. I don't think it's at all the most artistic thing, but I do feel like Doja Cat does a good job of like playing the line of pop, but also playing the line of like songwriter. You know?
Well, then, all right, I agree with that. I'd be okay if Doja Cat won here. I don't want her winning Song of the Year or Record of the Year, but if she wins Pop, I'm okay with it, especially given what we have here. I'm fine with that. What about Rain on Me, Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande? Because they're giving Chromatica Best Pop Vocal Album nomination, but yet that song doesn't get nominated. That song was fucking huge, man. And it's got two of the...
Interesting.
And I loved that song. That's a song that... Spoiler will probably be on my list too, but there's so many misses that they had, and like again, Harry Styles, he's good. Like I'm fine with him, like getting into the pop stuff too. But like, man, I just don't understand. Quite.
And I guess that's like a given. I guess like names like Harry Styles. I guess
that works. Like, you know what I mean? I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I will say, and I don't want to go too much into rock because we don't really talk too much rock on this podcast. I would actually probably like to talk a little bit more rock if possible, even though I'm not a huge rock guy myself. But I will say that I was glad to see Tame Impala get nominated in the rock and alternative categories, and then
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was pumped to see that, and I was actually pumped to see Michael Kiwanuka as well nominated in the best rock album category, because I thought from last year
that's awesome.
Yeah,
there's some real rock head out there that's like Tame Impala doesn't it deserve it, like
you're probably right. There are probably people like Michael Kiwanuka and Tame Impala. You're really, but it's music I like. So for me personally, I was glad to see those in there. Best R&B song, we have Better Than I Imagine, Robert Glasper featuring Her and Michelle. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that last name. I'm bad with last names. Black Parade, Beyonce. Collide, Tiana Major 9 and Earth Gang. Do It, Chloe and Holly. Slow Down, Skip Marley and Her. So again, her has basically 2 chances to win here. She's on 2 songs in this category. I was pleasantly surprised to see Collide, Tiana Major 9, and Earth Gang on that. I thought that song was freaking awesome. Johnny Venus like kind of stepping out of his hip hop realm and going into the singing, spot. He's being an R&B.
He's been dying to do it.
Oh,
he's been dying. He has a voice for it.
And
too,
he
man.
killed it, bro. He killed it. I thought that song was awesome. So in terms of song I would want to win, I'm good with that one. Who I think's probably gonna win? Wouldn't be shocked if Better Than I Imagine, Robert Glasper and her come into that and take that. To be quite honest, I could easily see that.
Happy. That just makes sense.
I could easily see that. Yeah, that would be great.
Summer Walker had a couple joints, dude. Summer Walker like might be a hoe. The track with Usher. That whole album honestly was like littered with Playing Games. Bryson Tiller, Come Through, that's the song with Usher. Just Might Be a Hoe. But I'll Kill You with Jhené Aiko, that was an R&B song. I don't know about you, man. I don't know if it's different because we're about 5 years or so apart, or 3 years maybe even. I think
it's around 5. I think 5 or 3, 4, something like that. It's like 4.5.
Yeah.
I remember 4 roughly.
I mean, you kill it with Jhené, and Summer Walker was all over Instagram for like 5 months, man.
True.
The reposts, the captions, and honestly, I love that record, dude. I played back that record and just the entire album so much, and I thought she was like, and again, I'm a little upset with like how things seem to be going now, but like she has so much potential to be like a generational R&B artist. I think. Honestly, I think she doesn't waste it.
Yeah, I think she has it in her for sure, and I think she's a snub clearly in the R&B category. I think that she's probably the biggest snub. I feel like, unless again, not to be a broken record, unless you want to put The Weeknd in R&B, but I don't really know if he goes in R&B at this point. I think he's more pop. But in terms of Summer Walker is definitely a snub. But Robert Glasper and her would totally be okay if I would actually prefer if they won.
That makes sense.
That would be really great, I think, for them and just the Academy, for them to put a song like that on. Someone like Robert Glasper, who's more of just like a pianist, who's just not somebody that, typically does a lot of like mainstream sounding music. So that would be really cool for him. And obviously,
pianist. He has amazing little cool jazz rap projects that he's done, man. They're so dope.
He did one. He was on forgetting the name of it right now off the top of my head, but he did a song, or he was a part of a project that I listened to this year that I really liked, and I'm gonna find it.
He was all up and down To Pimp a Butterfly, man, going crazy.
Especially that. I mean, that was back in the day. Well, not back in the day. It was probably 5-6 years ago. But there's oh my god, it's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, it was Dinner Party he did with Terrace Martin and Ninth Wonder.
Oh, I listened to
That's
that
the one.
Actually.
Pretty good. Really good, actually.
That was really good.
Really good. So nice to see him get some recognition, him with her.
People and Mike.
Gotcha. But yeah, no, I'm okay with that. And pretty interesting in the R&B and hip-hop category. Is going to get to hip-hop in a second. But I don't really talk about this one in particular, but I was interested to see, like, they've reworked some of these categories, like best progressive R&B album is next.
Yeah. Isn't there a best traditional? Is that one too?
There's like best R&B album, and then there's best R&B progressive R&B album. So the progressive is Jhené Aiko, Chloe and Holly, Ungodly Hour, The Free Nationals, self-titled project, Fuck Your Feelings, Robert Glasper, and then It Is What It Is, Thundercat. This, to be quite fair, take out Jhené Aiko potentially. I think they got 4 out of the 5 of these right. I mean, I love that Thundercat record. That was a great one. Robert Glasper totally makes sense, and then Free Nationals, that was a great project too, makes man. Sense. So and Chloe and Halle, they've definitely made a name for themselves too. They're on Beyonce's label. I'm pretty sure those two.
R&B.
But what does that
That's
mean?
What the Free Nationals is?
probably because they put in so much like jazz and hip hop to like their songs. But does it make them progressive? I don't know.
But does that make it R&B?
I don't know.
Like
Their criteria.
Anderson
This is their
Paak,
criteria.
That's
their criteria in the
Anderson Paak's group, right?
Say again?
That's
Yes.
Anderson
Yes.
Paak's group? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. For albums containing at least 51% playing time of newly recorded progressive vocal tracks, derivative of R&B. I don't even know what that means. I'm sorry. I don't.
Derivative of R&B. I guess that makes sense. But that's like, you could be calling certain hip hop albums progressive R&B then. And I guess that's kind of how I look at it, is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because it definitely, obviously, Free Nationals though is like funky. That's what I see. Free Nationals is like funk and jazz drum kind of based.
Right.
And when I listen to that, there are some runs and some ballads that that Anderson Paak can go on, but like it's like a funky neo soul.
That's where I would probably
versus
put
like
it.
an R&B.
But again, we're getting
I guess
nitpicky. But
maybe neo soul is progressive R&B. Who knows? The Grammys know more.
Well, that's their terminology. Yeah, supposedly, yeah. Well, that's their terminology for it, is progressive R&B. So I don't know. I thought like that was pretty interesting because they do that in the rap category, and I think it's a good time. I know you've been itching to get to the rap category. Let's just dive into it. I think this is we got 4 distinct categories in the rap category, rap section of this. So it's best rap performance, best rap melodic performance, best rap song, and then best rap album. That actually wrap up. I'm bad with the puns today, but that will wrap up this episode. We will talk about those 4 categories, and that will be it for today, for this week, I should say, episode. But I will say, but right off the gate, before we get into this, a couple of snubs here and there in the hip hop category, but I will say that I am pretty pleasantly surprised with the choices that they had overall. This is probably the most that they've got it right in the hip hop category, in my opinion. But either way, we'll get to that. Best rap performance, we got Deep Reverence, Big Sean featuring Nipsey Hussle, Bop by DaBaby, What's Poppin', Jack Harlow, The Bigger Picture, Lil Baby, Savage, Megan Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce, and then Dior by Pop Smoke.
Okay.
Who do you like in this category?
This is best rap performance. Sorry, I just got the rap segment open on my.
Best rap performance. Yes.
Gotcha. Well, I guess when it comes to performance, I don't know all of these. I do remember. I think I remember Pop's performance of Dior. I do remember seeing Savage's. Or when we talk about performance, do we mean video performances? Or not video, or like live performances? Or
I think it just means
performance,
like them
delivery.
Yeah, like the delivery, like them performing the song, or like them reenacting the song. It's not like a performance, like literally like a live performance. It's like,
man, someone gotta explain that.
I know. Well, that's why I don't. That's why the verbiage doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, the bigger picture has to be it, right?
I'm with you. That's the one for me.
I liked the Detroit 2 Big Sean album. Deep Reverence was a cool track, definitely, but the bigger picture was by far the most notable, I think, on this list. The most impressive in terms of, we're talking about overall performance, and then obviously has plenty of substance behind it and contextual nuances that make it so impactful.
This is coming from someone that is not a big Lil Baby fan, just normally, or regularly speaking. I was never a big Lil Baby fan, and I thought this was by far his best song, and not only his best song, one of the best songs of the year for sure. Not even in hip hop, but just in general. What he was able to accomplish with this song, I agree. I think there's no question here that he gets, for me personally, that he gets best rap performance. I just don't see another one that would beat it.
Gonna put it up there maybe for song of the year or record of the year. We didn't say it, and maybe it should. Maybe it fits more in rap song of the year, but yeah, I do think it's impactful enough and means enough that I think it could be up there for song of the year, record of the year.
I agree. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, why not? Like, Lil Baby is a big artist at this point, right? Like, if you're gonna put Rockstar DaBaby in there, couldn't you, for record of the year? I think The Bigger Picture would have made way more sense than that song.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
If you wanted to make a statement, right? If you're the Grammys, right? You're the Academy. You've been getting criticized for years of being quote unquote racist or quote unquote, whatever, or tone deaf, whatever word you want to use, or
whitewashed.
Whitewashed. Yeah, exactly. Whatever word you want to throw in.
Unfair.
If you wanted to squash some of that, why not put this song up?
Right.
Even just nominate it. Give it a nomination for record of the year, not just hip hop record of the year, rap, performance. Why not give it that record of the year? I feel like it was worthy. I don't know. Bars, the delivery, like his emotion on that song.
They don't pick the right
production.
ones, because like we said, they do nominate those token indie tracks and records and artists. I think usually the people that get the most benefit of that though are other white artists, because they're trying to appeal to white people. I think for the most part, I don't think that's anything that's under wraps. But they're not picking the things that, like, even the things that they pick to be as like token special kind of nominations or more abstract or obscure artists, it's still usually like the most, I don't even know how to articulate it. It's still usually someone that's like the most obvious obscure choice. You know what I mean? Like the most obvious person to make it seem as if you were diving deep into something, and it's they never land on the right one. Like you said, like this would be, even if it's just we're talking about kind of in a manipulative way, this would be the one to use as a token. But they're too blind to even see that. To even give it a shot, exactly. So if you're gonna put it in the rap category, I don't know why you don't. Especially with the message, all of it. I'm with you. I think the runaway favorite should be that one. I could definitely see Jack Harlow winning, although I don't know, because that song was freaking huge. Like, I mean, you cannot deny how big What's Poppin' was. And just I hated it.
You don't like it?
I didn't like it.
It's not your song?
I didn't like it. I'm gonna put it out there. Yo. I didn't like it.
That's
I got upset. I just felt like I feel like it's a good flow. The beat is nice. I just didn't think that it deserved to be as big as it was, and after it got so big, to me, it just got kind of unbearable.
It was overplayed a little bit.
The repetitiveness, and I'm just not a huge fan of his image. I'll say it and be upfront. Like, I think just white dudes, white rappers, obviously get a boost through white privilege, and I think that was kind of evident with this one too. So maybe I had built up a little bit of resentment or bitterness after being forced to hear that song. I felt like every time I put shuffle on a radio station,
true,
or something.
No, it makes sense. But
I wouldn't be mad, but it would make sense. It was huge for going off numbers.
It was big. But again, if you're considering numbers and like popularity, but pair that like message, theme, a totality of a track, bigger picture for me just is the one.
Yeah,
that is the one in here. I like Deep Reverence, but I don't think it's like rap performance. I don't think. Put it this way, I think Detroit 2 as a project probably should have been nominated for something, but I don't know if it's necessarily like a
it was a mind-blowing rappy rap. To me, it was a cool, great, like narrative, cohesive kind of project. Like it had some heartfelt and like authentic things said by Big Sean, but I don't even think Deep Reverence was the best track on that.
Me neither. So that's why for me it's not like a.
It had a lot of just with that Nipsey verse is kind of what gives that sentimental value to it.
Yeah.
But I didn't. To nominate, I don't know. Yeah. To even win, obviously, that's more of a stress too.
To win, I doubt it. Yeah, the one I think is gonna win. I would actually not be shocked if they give it to Pop Smoke, just because of the fact that he's now gone. I don't see why they might not go that route. But then again, I don't know how Juice WRLD doesn't make anything here. So that's my other thought there too. But again, so moving on to best melodic rap performance, which is like a new category. It sounds like
dumb category.
Yeah,
it's a dumb category.
Because what makes this? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But here are the nominees. So you guys kind of your own thing here, or your own opinion on what you think of this category, because I'm kind of with you, Phoenix. I don't see what the purpose is, but so best melodic rap performance: Rockstar, dababy featuring Roddy Ricch, Laugh Now Cry Later, Drake featuring Lil Durk, Lockdown, Anderson .Paak. The Box, Roddy Ricch. Highest in the Room, Travis Scott. I will say this. Anderson .Paak won a Grammy last year. Super pumped for him. One of my favorite artists just in general. This song absolutely stinks. I don't know how in the world. This song sucks. It's terrible, bro. It's a vacuum. It sucks and blows. This song is so bad. The production's uninspired. The bars are uninspired. I'm
not
understand.
familiar with it, and I'm a big Pat Anderson fan, and I didn't really catch. Is this off the Free National Project?
Nope. This is just like a Lucy. So if you didn't hear this, you're a big Anderson .Paak fan. You didn't hear this.
Why is it nominated?
Why is it nominated? And you didn't hear it. And I urge you, go listen to it after this episode. After you're done, listen to it, and then text me what you think, because I really. This song is one of his worst, in my opinion. And
very mediocre Anderson.
So mediocre.
Dude, didn't Oxnard get nominated?
I believe it did last year. Yeah.
That was a weak. That was maybe his weakest project.
Yes. I think top to bottom. Yes, Oxnard definitely was one of his weakest. And then the last one, Ventura, guy I know for a fact got nominated. I don't know about Oxnard, but I know for a fact that Ventura did. And Malibu did not, which is easily his best album in my opinion. But that's again another story. They weren't hip to Anderson .Paak until probably Oxnard anyway, which is unfortunate. But Lockdown, I think they only did it just because of the subject matter in the song. Obviously talking about like Black Lives Matter, police brutality, things like that. Like the subject matter in that song is fine, but the delivery, the overall just kind of encompassing like the whole song itself, not good at all. Not a fan whatsoever. In terms of if you want to go melodic, I think Laugh Now, Cry Later. It really for me is the one that I would pick to win this category.
Yeah, but it's I guess like then we owe Drake a lot more Grammys too. Like with all the ones he's already earned, we owe him a lot. If we're gonna make a whole new category, might as well just say, yeah, we want to give Drake a Grammy again. Like,
I was just gonna say that. Doesn't it feel like almost like a cop out just to give Drake another Grammy? I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong.
I mean, like these other things, I hope some of these other things can. I mean, I'm not even feeling at all passionate about any of them because I also don't feel like Rockstar. Some of them, like, yeah, it's melodic, not the best melodic performance though. I'll tell you that. Like, it is melodic, definitely not the best rap melodic performance. Laugh Now, Cry Later is a melodic performance. It's not even Drake's most ambitious melodic rap performance.
No,
it's there. It's clean. The Box, like Lockdown, I haven't heard. I'm not familiar with. Mike's telling me is hot garbage.
Not good.
The Box by Roddy Ricch, and this is where I'm like, yeah, the Roddy Ricch is super melodic, but is it like so? Is like even the Box like? Yeah, I just think like
not a fan.
Again, like to call it the best melodic rap performance is different than if you're gonna call it the most popular melodic rap performance.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And
like, cause there's a lot of rapping on the Box, and like a lot of these melodies sound great, but were they the most complex or cool melodies we heard this year? Like, not really. And then Highest in the Room, I haven't liked that record since it's dropped. I'm gonna be honest. Like, even when it dropped, like, it had so much hype around it, and I remember all of us kind of running to Highest in the Room, and I don't know, that was after Astro World?
It was.
Right, and that was like after Astro World, so it was just cool for him to put out a single. But when I got to it, I was like, oh, it's Travis Scott. I
have said
he's an album artist as well to me.
Yes,
and I don't hold him that. I love Travis, and there's tons of other Travis songs that are bangers. But Highest in the Room to me is like a subpar Travis song. I'm sorry, it gets a lot of hype. I know it's probably
and it's not Grammy worthy. It's not Grammy worthy.
Yeah,
definitely not Grammy worthy.
Right.
And I've been saying this since Astroworld. In my opinion, I think that he's on a bit of a Super Bowl hangover, quote unquote, or I call it his Super Bowl hangover, because Astroworld was like his big project. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was his big like commercial breakout project. I know he had like a lot of different like other ones that were his quote unquote breakout projects, but this was like his like, you know,
yeah, that was the one.
That was the one, right? And like got the Grammy nomination, all that shit. And like since then, I don't feel like Travis has really been up to snuff with even features or singles. Like, he just hasn't done it for me since Astroworld, and I loved that project. But
I guess I haven't heard too much of any of his singles. He's definitely bodying hooks. I've heard him on. I feel like I've heard him in passing on a few hooks or features with like small artists. He kind of like I've heard Travis Scott like collaborate with like weird small artists sometimes, and I'm forgetting them off the top of my head right now. But they weren't anything super notable. That's obvious. And to be honest, I think Astroworld was a step below Birds in the Trap singing McKnight. And that's just me. I know a lot of people think I'm crazy about that. A lot of people think Astroworld's this crazy masterpiece, and I think it's cohesive, or it's a project with a lot of depth that was clearly thoughtful. But I also felt like he's been doing that since Rodeo. You know what I mean? So that's what I expect with a lot of them. And Birds in the Trap singing McKnight to me was an amazing debut project. Like from top to bottom, like I felt like you could play that whole project at a party and there wouldn't be a miss. And like the party would go up and down at all the perfect times. Where with Astroworld, I had these moments where I was like, ooh, what's this gonna be? And then the song would start and I'm like, okay, that was it? Or what's the next song? Where's this gonna go? You know what I mean? And part of that's with the expectations he mounted on it himself.
Mm-hmm. I prefer Rodeo to all three of those, but in terms of like, I think Birds in the Trap got a ton of negative criticism for some strange reason, because I agree with you. I tend to actually like that album quite a bit as well. I don't know why people tend
Did it get a lot of criticism?
It did, especially by critics. Like it did not get good reviews on like YouTube channels. It didn't get good reviews on like some of these other publications like Rolling Stone or Pitchfork. Like I know for a fact like it did not get good reviews. I know Astroworld got much better reviews, and Rodeo as well. But for me, with this category, the biggest glaring, if you're going to call it melodic rap or melodic rap category or whatever you want to call it, rap performance, I don't know how you're gonna talk melodic rap and not put Life's a Mess by Juice WRLD and Halsey in this category. I don't see how if it's here, how that song doesn't run away with this category. I don't know. I think
a Juice WRLD track definitely makes sense to be in here. I'm not the biggest Juice fan, but there's nothing. You have to respect how amazing his melodic deliveries and performances are, and that he can also rap, like freestyle rap, but he just likes to do the melodic stuff, and he's really
exactly. But yeah, and I feel like Drake's probably the clear winner here out of this group. I don't
know if I'm ever advocating for anything Halsey touches to win a Grammy. Honestly, I'm just not a big Halsey fan.
I love Halsey. I'm a big fan of Halsey, and I also think that song though is just so good. So for me,
do we have to stop being friends? Is this like really awkward for you now?
A little bit.
Shit on Halsey.
Well, Halsey's going on my list, so I don't know about you. It doesn't have to go on your.
Ugh.
She's gonna be on my list. I liked her.
You're like, I love Halsey.
I like Halsey. I'm a fan. Definitely a fan. Okay, last two categories we have best rap song and then best rap album. So for song we have Bigger Picture, once again the Lil Baby, The Box by Roddy Ricch, Laugh Now Cry Later, Drake Lil Durk, Rockstar by DaBaby and Roddy Ricch, and then Savage, Megan Thee Stallion, and Beyonce. So basically all songs that have already been in a different category.
Literally.
Good job, I'm going with I'm riding with Bigger Picture. I'm riding with Bigger Picture.
We can move on. Honestly, it should be better.
I'm good. Bigger Picture.
Sure.
Done.
Like if this is the pool, if this is its competition, Bigger Picture is by far
Bigger Picture
the better rap song.
Has to be, I think. And then best rap album, which for me, I was pleasantly surprised with rap album. I thought they did a nice job this year.
This was weird. I don't know.
I like it, man. Overall, I like it. So Black Habits, D-Smoke, Alfredo, Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist, A Written Testimony, Jay Electronica, King's Disease, Nas, The Allegory, Royce da 5'9". So great comeback from Nas this year. I don't know if it's worthy of album of the year to me. For me, it's probably between Black Habit. I know you're going to disagree with this, which is fine. Definitely for me between Black Habits and Alfredo. Although I'm going to be a little bit defiant, I guess, or pissed off because I preferred Bandana from the last year.
No, same. Me too.
How Bandana wasn't nominated for a Grammy last year, but now they're like, "Oops, sorry, we'll throw in Alfredo
No,
this year."
100%. It felt like, they're late to the party. Someone just told them about Freddie Gibbs, and now they gotta make it look, like they know what's going on.
And I liked Alfredo. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great project, man. But it's not Bandana.
It wasn't Bandana. It wasn't Bandana. And I think it was a thing that like came kind of quickly after Bandana. Like, he was kind of doing it to be like, yo, I'm just switching it up, trying to stay out there. It wasn't like Bandana was following Pinata. It was like something that he clearly spent time. There was a lot of thought going into it. It was I love Bandana. I love Bandana so much.
Love it.
Oh my god! And I'm reading rap albums of 2020, and this list is disgusting. This list is disgusting about the oversights, dude.
There's definitely Limbo. Oversights. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just going off. Amine Limbo should be up there. I like Nas King's Disease, but it was cool that Nas made good music, but I didn't think it needed to be nominated. I think Shoot for the Stars by Pop Smoke should have been up there.
That could have been there.
For fanfare and the respect. But it went crazy, and there was so many good songs. Like, he really Pop, and like I think Fabio Foreign and all the other New York guys are obviously trying to do their best to carry the torch after this, but without Pop, I think they're not gonna. They don't have the platform that they have now to even try and continue this. Because he just brought in a whole sound of New York drill that influenced the whole year. The whole year. You know what I mean? Has like the hip hop scene, the street shit that has been popping in hip hop has been that New York drill sound right now. It used to be Chicago drill sound, and for a second it was just more kind of New York, like Cardi, you can say even Tekashi. I don't know if you want to call it Tekashi thing. That's not really the drill, that's just more like gritty New York hip-hop. But Pop Smoke has made the New York drill. Like, that is the sound that everyone's going for now. The GOAT by Polo G was a great project.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm listening off. Also, maybe I'm not looking at the bios. So maybe some of these things, all these were released in 2020 actually. So these are definitely should be in the running.
Right. No, those for sure, because and especially a lot of those came out in the summertime, so a lot of them definitely would make some sense. I like Eternal
Take. Eternal Take was a little long.
You know what's interesting? I actually agree with that. I think Eternal Take should have been in here, and I'm not a huge Uzi guy, and I think he could have. He easily could have been.
I want to say a big Uzi fan, but I like Uzi a lot, and I was a bigger fan in high school. And with some of his stuff, he kind of fell off, and then he came back with Eternal Take, and I was like, whoa, like there was bangers on Eternal Take, and then he did a deluxe that was another album.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like a whole other album.
Not just respect the content. Again, I already told you. I think I told you before. Benny the Butcher's Burden of Proof album. Some people felt like he wasn't reaching far enough out of his comfort zone. I felt like he finally got all the resources he wanted to like make his ideal, like mainstream but gritty New York album, which I loved so much. Pray for Paris, even by West Side Gun, was a great project. Talked about Run the Jewels could have been in here.
Run the Jewels had to have been in here. I don't understand how Run the Jewels 4
I would have been happy if Revenge of the Dreamers was in here, because that was a great.
Yeah. Revenge of the Dreamers was last year. Revenge of the Dreamers was last year. It got in.
Oh, okay.
It got in last year. Yep.
Yeah, and a written testimony by Jay Electronica.
Weak. Not a good album.
Man, super
I reviewed it.
Weak.
Didn't like it.
And not even like you can go off based off just the music was weak. Compared to his expectations, weak. Compared to his past work, weak. Even though he didn't have a whole lot of past work to compare it to, but like there were, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm with you.
There's a lot of snubs on here, man.
A lot of snubs.
And I was telling you earlier, I'm pretty sure I recently have really been running back this Extinction Level 2 album by Busta Rhymes. And
that I think wouldn't have been in the time frame because it came out after. Yeah, so that would actually be for next year. Which I agree. Like I think that Busta Rhymes project definitely would definitely be able to go in. I'm also with you on Run the Jewels. That's the biggest snub for me in the rap category is Run the Jewels 4. I don't see how Run the Jewels 4 doesn't get in. I actually really liked PTSD, G Herbo. I know that's not an album that probably
PTSD.
I don't think that's an album that would ever get nominated, but still, I thought it was a lot better than. I didn't really give the Royce album as much of its due diligence.
Yeah,
but
I also not gonna lie, did not give the Royce album enough listens. I'm a huge Royce fan, so I won't even comment on it because it could be amazing. Because Royce, to me, is amazing, even though he can get lyrical miracles. So a lot of people don't like that. From King to a God, Conway the Machine. Is that too late? Is that too late?
That might have been too late as well. It might have been out of like I think it was past August
September
31st.
11th.
Yeah, so it's past. So it's just
August.
outside.
I
August 31st is the cutoff.
October 1st to October 31st.
It's October 1st to August 31st is the cutoff. So it's like 11 months. They give
so he just missed
which is
that
strange.
cut. He
He
just
gets
missed
cut
that
there.
cut right there.
All
right. So I guess
I would love
not
to see Freddie win.
terrible.
I would love to see Freddie win. I would
Just for
also
the
love
sake
to
of
see
seeing
D Smoke
Freddie
win. Yes, I think deservingly so. For Freddie to just see where Freddie has gone from his career to now, I think it would be so just such sweet vindication for Freddie Gibbs, even if it was Alfredo that got it, which I don't think is like, I think Pinata or Bandana easily should have been easily, right?
Bandana, man, that should have gotten something.
Oh, the nomination at worst, right? But
Yeah.
even if he gets Alfredo, I think that's still vindication for him. I think they're going to give it to D Smoke, and I really actually, to be honest with you, would be totally fine with that, just because I think the year he had and just the fact of how marketable he is, and his story is so great. I know he was a teacher, in Inglewood before he was a hip hop artist. He's Sir's brother, so like they got
Sir's
that.
brother. So is the. All right. I'm gonna get into a quick anecdotal story.
Go.
How why I also view D Smoke in a certain way. Although I liked him on Rhythm and Flow and liked a lot of his tracks that he's put out and liked the project, did not think it was album of the year by far. But Rhythm and Flow, they did a good job of painting all these people as like just regular rappers, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From around the way that they found. Some of them, they were explicitly saying like they got it from like Nipsey Hussle's school for rappers, that apparently was a thing. And T.I.'s school for artists, that was the thing. They never mentioned once though that D Smoke's brother was Sir. Like
they failed to mention it the entire time.
They failed to mention that this guy, this Spanish teacher that they just found out of nowhere, like, because that made the story sensational. Is like, this man is rapping in 2 different languages and is a school teacher and making music on the side and now doing this contest. That is an amazing story. I mean, yeah, it's probably pretty freaking easy to get a connection to Rhythm and Flow Netflix when they send a press release out to Sir and TDE, and Sir's like, "Oh, I have a brother." You know what I mean? And it's funny because the first time I saw D Smoke on Rhythm and Flow, I said to myself, "That guy looks like Sir." Like, I literally said to myself, because I think back then he was calling himself Inglewood Sir still. But I was like, that guy looks like that R&B artist, because this is before I got super into Sir. But that guy looks like that R&B artist, Sir. And then, believe it or not, at the end of the season, I find out he's his brother. And I'm like,
they conveniently forgot to mention it.
Yeah,
I see your point.
And to get more specific, I was actually a part of this performance. I was a part of this hip-hop comedy improv performance that I was doing at my school, where my college improv group was collaborating with this professional hip-hop improv group, which is so dope that hip-hop improv is even a thing. So they came from all the way to New York, came to our place. We had a collab performance. Long story short, though, we after the performance, we're all chilling at our comedy house, you could call it, and we're drinking and we're talking to these performers, and they're telling us, they're criticizing, they're going at Rhythm and Flow hard, because I guess them being New Yorkers and people who have gone to auditions for things like Wild 'N Out and rap competition shows, and maybe even auditioned for this, who knows, they were kind of trying to pull the curtain, I guess, for me and tell me, like, all those people that are up there, trust me, like, they all have connections to the industry that allowed them to get that chance. So they were telling me that at the time to tell me to not feel bad about why those people with maybe subjectively less talent than somebody else are getting those chances, and makes you feel like maybe you need to conform to some way of making music. They were telling me, which I can't prove, they were telling me about how many of these artists have connections with labels and things already, and how they already illustrated that on the show, and there's a lot of it that goes unsaid because that's how they like it in order to, create a more compelling thing on TV, which is obvious. And then I learned the D-Smoke thing at the end of the season, and I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? How many of these other people were actually Drake's cousin, Quavo's little sister, like
literally
that changes the whole narrative of it all. And then it kind of just took this little mystique away from D-Smoke for me as like a grassroots kind of artist, or from the competition, I guess not grassroots, but deserving this spot. And then I heard some of his other songs, and he just, to me, wasn't always super attention grabbing. For me.
Okay.
And I listened to the project, and it didn't have any staying power for me. And with all the other things that didn't make the list, he does not need to be there. Whether it's Eternal Take, the Pop Smoke project, or the Run the Jewels project.
Those
other
all
things
make
you could
sense.
have easily bumped D-Smoke or in order to include.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that G Herbo thing, because G Herbo, Polo G's project, man, was good. That put Polo G GOAT. He was talking to some some social commentary in there. That kind of brought him to a different level too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just rambling.
Oh, that's okay.
You got me talking about rap, man. Got me talking about rap.
So with the category here, though, who do you got for a winner, if you're gonna pick one?
Alfredo. That's who I want to win. Who do you want to win?
It's between. I'll go Alfredo as well. In terms of who I want to win, Alfredo. Who do I think is? But I would, like I said, I know you don't feel the same way. I would totally be okay with D-Smoke winning, though. I would really, actually, he's probably my 1B. And then who I think is gonna win, I really do think D-Smoke's gonna get it.
I think D-Smoke's gonna get it. I'm gonna be kind of upset. It's gonna he has connections, man. He has connections.
Yeah,
He's
that's
getting
obvious.
best new artist and rap album of the year. He did not have a year like that. Come on, man. Get new artists. I'll give it to you because you do fit that criteria, right? You can only be with as many people in your class as you can. But you're going up against everybody else in the industry for best rap album, dude, and you're here. Come on. He's not rapping like that. Come on. Even if it is in Spanish, which is, I'm not going to lie, very impressive.
Very impressive.
Puts me to shame because I'm a Puerto Rican who can't even speak Spanish fluently, man. But I also love the respect because, it just really goes to show the intersection between Spanish and black communities. And it's cool, but it's a novelty thing. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, ooh, girls are gonna love this, you know what I mean? Or ooh, you just switched it up on me. You feel kind of sophisticated for listening to it, but I don't want it to be a gimmick, man.
That's true. Yeah, where is he gonna go from here? I guess is the question. But no, I like I said, I don't consider Black Habits to be like a transcendent project, but I definitely do. I think it's quality work, and I definitely enjoyed listening to it. Although I will say I haven't gone back to it a ton recently, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Talk about it.
I haven't. It's true. I haven't gone back to it.
Did you get on D-Smoke through Rhythm and Flow? Is that where you first got introduced him? Did you
I think that's
where
of course. I think that's where everybody got into him, because I remember even the first couple of weeks I was looking up all the artists that I really liked from there, and he had no music out. He was one of the few that had literally
I remember
nothing.
Me too.
Nothing.
And that's where I was thinking, oh, this is some guy who's literally just doing this.
So you know what's interesting? I never, even though I totally understood the story as you laid it out, I didn't really think of it in that context. You know what I'm saying? That they possibly did this as almost we acting like they accidentally came upon this guy who is clearly become one of the bigger hip hop stars this year.
But that's what they did.
But they did, yeah.
Mike,
so I
think they
so it
didn't
is
know?
interesting. Oh
Like,
no, I'm not. No, I'm not simply saying that. I'm not saying they
Right.
didn't know at all. I'm just saying I didn't. You went into it a little bit more with this foresight that I don't think that I kind of connected the dots as much. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah, and it
I
only
didn't-
came from that experience again from the
yeah,
performers that came over
makes
from
sense.
New York, and for a second I'm
Yeah.
thinking like these dudes are better.
And it didn't dawn on me.
Talking
Yeah.
about how they should have made Wildin' Out, but now that they're my homies now, and honestly I've seen so much truth after that, and connected a lot of dots with other stuff, and it makes a lot of sense because they're some of the funniest dudes I've ever met. And I've seen some people on a Wildin' Out, and guess what? It's Instagram influencers, you know?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I definitely liked the album. Top to bottom, I definitely like Alfredo better, but I certainly would be okay if he won it. Would be okay if Nas got a Grammy. I'd be fine with that too, even though I don't think I agree. I think just because Nas finally put out a quality album, we're just gonna Grammy nominate him now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see how that makes a ton of sense either. But I personally think the biggest snub is Run the Jewels 4 and After Hours Weekend. Those are the two projects where I'm like, how did even not a song get on something here? So I'm really, really upset with the Academy once again still there, even though I'm okay with the rap category this year. I was okay at least with the names. I'm at least okay that you threw in Jay, Alec, and Nas and Royce. Like, I'm okay that you put those artists in there, but either way.
What about I'll say the biggest snub for me is the no Summer Walker music is absolutely disgustingly negligent. Like, with all these R&B and categories you got, and honestly, it was a great project top to bottom. Like, I feel like for me, I don't know about what other circles, but I feel like for me, Summer Walker and her were constantly in this battle of like who's gonna be the next top R&B girl. Not to say there only has to be one R&B girl. There's multiple. You know what I mean?
But
they were both just, I think, in a friendly, competitive way, trying to fight for their market share. And I think her is a better artist, but Summer Walker put out a project that was, for me, something that her project hasn't touched yet.
Yeah. No,
it was
I
hear you. It was mainstream. It was still soulful. It was personal. To Summer. It had personality, and it had like the singing chops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's totally projects and stuff here that definitely got stubbed, but that's the, in essence, like we talked about at the beginning, that's the Grammys. But it'll definitely be interesting to see. We'll definitely bring this up again, I'm sure, when we come back and when the winners actually are announced on January 31st. I'm sure in early February we'll jump back on. One of the segments of one of our episodes we'll definitely at least dedicate to at least talking about the winners. Maybe not as in depth as we just talked about it now, but we'll maybe run through the winners and things like that. But anyway, yeah, so another great episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, like I said, make sure you subscribe to wherever you hear us, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Drop us comments too. Who got snubbed this year in the Grammys, and who do you think is gonna
talk to us?
Let us know who is gonna win these categories. Who do you think deserves to win the categories? Who got snubbed? Let us all that know in the comments.
What's a major oversight that we made? We're over here talking all this as if like we know music. What's an oversight that we're not talking about? Someone put us on, and maybe if we don't know Black Pumas, and we don't know some of these other artists. If there are any of these artists in here, any of these projects in here, songs, whatever
it is,
maybe deserve it, and that we kind of brushed off. Please make your case in the comment section, because I'm open-minded, man. I'm trying to get put on new music.
Same. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to put people onto new music. I want to be put onto new music too. Like, that's the whole goal. So exactly. So yeah, let us know. Comment section, guys. Definitely tell us what we missed and what we definitely oversaw. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. Really appreciate it. Once again, please follow us and subscribe at Turntable Teachers on Instagram. Make sure you follow there. And then, subscribe to our website, www.turntableteachers.com, for all the latest. This is our final regular episode with Phoenix for the year, and we will be back in full swing in 2021. So really excited for that. So again, this is the last one. We got year-end lists coming towards the end really soon. We got a few more album analysis episodes. We have 3 left, and then we have the rest of the year is just going to be year-end lists. So really excited to do those. It's my favorite time of the year. And once again, guys, but thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back top of 2021 with Phoenix
Top
Rios.
of 2021, man. We're ready. We're ready to let this 2020 go back in the past. We're ready to open a new chapter. 2021 is gonna be fun, man. Y'all gotta come back.
So again, thanks guys for tuning in. I'm Mike.
And I'm Phoenix.
We're the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed.
Turn